Hillary absolutely destroys Bernie Sanders in her Howard Stern interview. Let's talk about it, y'all. Middle America. Well, this is, look, if you have a problem with the last couple Middle America episodes, you can blame none other than my good friend Alec, who either posts these things to his Facebook, or will text me directly when he sees something completely insane. Now, I couldn't believe this, so I clicked on it. I said, well, what in the world? What could possibly have been done or said by Hillary to destroy the likes of Bernie Sanders? So, without further ado, here is a clip of Miss Clinton having a discussion with Howard Stern in which the name Bernie Sanders came up, and what she said that follows, according to CNN, was an absolute destruction of Bernie Sanders. Let's check it out.
She pledged to support whoever the Democratic nominee might be, though she did have a few choice words for Bernie Sanders.
Do we hate Bernie Sanders?
No, I don't hate anybody.
Bernie could have endorsed you quicker.
He could have. He hurt me. There's no doubt about it. He hurt me. But going back to the indictments, because that's what's really important.
Have you ever spoken to Bernie about that?
No.
You don't talk to him?
I don't talk to him. Yeah, I mean, we did when he finally endorsed me and all that.
But you're upset with him?
No, disappointed. Disappointed. Okay. So, and I hope he doesn't do it again to whoever gets the nomination.
Right.
Once is enough.
That, according to CNN, was the utter destruction of Bernie Sanders. You just can't make this stuff up. You'll notice the implication, right? Because Bernie lost to her, which is amazing, because the fact that this woman can still say that with a straight face after what all of us know from WikiLeaks. We all know that she was colluding with the DNC to destroy our democracy. She did that when she colluded with the DNC to stonewall Bernie Sanders, which actually is what instigated Tulsi Gabbard from actually abandoning the DNC, because she actually has character and integrity, which also turned the sniper rifle from Bernie to Tulsi, which explains Hillary's kind of implication that Tulsi, a major in the United States Army who has sacrificed time with her family and put her life and limb on the line so that she could jam her arms into the legs of wounded soldiers to suture their femoral arteries so they don't bleed out in the middle of the street in Iraq. That Tulsi Gabbard, we are told, is a Russian asset by Miss Hillary Rodham Clinton. But keep in mind, Hillary Clinton was also a brave woman who put her life and limb on the line. Don't you remember?
There was supposed to be some kind of a greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles to get to our base.
Problem is, that's not what happened.
That she was ducking sniper fire? You see that dangerous Bosnian girl there? I think, yeah. So it's not as if, you know, all these Tulsi supporters, you guys are making a big deal about this. Don't act like Tulsi's the only person that's put her life on the line for this country. Hillary clearly did the same thing. She was dodging sniper fire. But here we are. Here we are with Ms. Clinton with a straight face talking about how she basically implying that she beat Bernie and Bernie did not endorse her quickly enough. This is absolute madness, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 2019. We're actually at the end of 2019. YouTube has already published their, rewind thingamajiggy. We didn't make it for some reason. For some reason, YouTube continues to demonetize my videos. Why is that, YouTube? I'm not mad at you though, YouTube. It's a free service. What can you say? But this is unbelievable to me. The lack of self-awareness and the fact that after 4 years, this woman cannot come out and cop to the fact that the reason we are in the current situation that we're in with Mr. Trump is squarely on her shoulders. She stole the election from a populist candidate who everybody loved, who was a conversion candidate, who I told you in the last video would have made me convert to voting blue for the first time in my life. I was preaching the gospel of Bernie to my 11-year-old last night at BJ's. I was explaining to him why Bernie would be a candidate of choice over Trump. And I am a conservative who hates abortion. She stole that individual from all of us. And she has the audacity to say that Bernie hurt her. No, Hillary, you hurt all of us when you colluded with the DNC to rob us of the candidate that the actual people wanted. And then on top of that, you colluded with Fusion GPS to dig up dirt on a political rival who had a good chance of beating you during the actual campaign. But of course, Mr. Mueller couldn't really investigate that because it was outside of his purview. And all of you righteous leftists who are so angry about what Trump supposedly did to Mr. Biden in the Ukraine are all lying hypocrites. Yes, I said it. Because none of you, not a single one of you, said a word about the fact that your candidate, Ms. Hillary Clinton, did the same thing. All you do is talk about whataboutism, which is really just a silly rhetorical ploy to get yourself out of the charge of hypocrisy. That's all that is. So I'm helping you right now. Miss me with the whataboutism comments. You're a lying hypocrite if you don't see what this woman did to our country. And if you're harping about Russia and the Ukraine, and you've never said anything about this woman, I don't want to hear it. I have nothing to say to you. That's why I'm a little bit sour on Bernie, and I'm a big fan of Tulsi, and that's why Bernie can redeem himself, in my eyes at least, if he adds Tulsi to the ticket, which I'm sure he will. But let's not get this twisted. The person who is the destructive element to our democracy was just on the Howard Stern show. And this silly idea that Bernie did not quit soon enough and that he did not endorse Hillary soon enough is ridiculous. And you know, the only way that Ms. Clinton can make such a ridiculously asinine statement is that she is banking on the fact that everybody has a short memory. But you know what's interesting about the age that we live in, Ms. Clinton? Is that we now have an infallible record of what was said and done in years past. So here is Ms. Clinton, when it was clear that Barack Hussein Obama had kicked her tail without the aid of the DNC and without the aid of Fusion GPS, when he ran on change, which all of us know now is a lie, TPP, yada, yada, yada. And he kicked the crap out of Hillary Clinton, and she refused to concede. Let's watch her reasoning and her logic for why she was not conceding.
You know, that's been the pattern for quite some time now. And honestly, I mean, I just believe that this is the most important job in the world. It's the toughest job in the world. You should be willing to campaign for every vote. You should be willing to debate anytime, anywhere. I think it's an interesting juxtaposition where we find ourselves. And, you know, I have been willing to do all of that during the entire process. And people have been trying to push me out of this ever since Iowa. And
Why?
I find that, I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. I find it curious because it is unprecedented in history. I don't understand it. And, you know, between my opponent and his camp and some in the media, there has been this urgency to end this. And, you know, historically that makes no sense. So I find it a bit of a mystery.
You don't buy the party unity argument?
I don't, because again, I've been around long enough. You know, my husband did not wrap up the nomination in 1992 until he won the California primary somewhere in the middle of June. Right? We all remember Bobby Kennedy was assassinated in June in California. You know, I don't understand it. And, you know, there's lots of speculation about why it is, but...
What's your speculation?
I don't know. I find it curious.
Oh, you find it curious. Did you hear the interview where the guy goes, well, what about the party unity argument? Party unity argument is basically, hey, you lost Iowa. It's clear that this guy, Barack, who came out of nowhere, but he's sweeping the country by like a madman. People love this dude. He's the new black Democratic Messiah. Unify the party so that we can go after John McCain and we can win this thing. And she said, I'm not buying it. I'm going to keep campaigning. You should be ready to debate anytime, anywhere. I'm ready to debate anytime, anywhere. So should he. That's what she said when she was on the other side of the situation. And you know what? Again, there was no DNC help for Mr. Obama to destroy Hillary the way that it happened vice versa, as we found out. There were no people on the side during these debates giving her the questions before the debate started, giving Obama the questions before the debate started, like what happened with her. It was clear, fair and square. Obama kicked her tail and she didn't want to quit. And she even went as far as to say, well, Bobby Kennedy got assassinated in June. Implying what? I'm still going to run because if Obama gets assassinated, I'm your girl. That's what she said. It's on video. But somehow, 8 to 12 years later, Bernie Sanders is just supposed to genuflect at the ring of Miss Clinton after all the BS that transpired. When Bernie had activated an entire voting block of people who loved him and who believed in him. Do you know people were literally in tears when Bernie gave her the nomination, and it was a different type of crying. It was, damn it, we almost had it and the establishment choked us out again. That's what happened. That's what happened, Miss Clinton. Bernie didn't hurt you. You hurt yourself. Your polling numbers went down literally every single time you opened your mouth. That's you. You and Kamala Harris are literally sisters from another mister. So what we say in the hood, that's my brother from another mother. You and Kamala Harris, I got a good friend of mine who calls Kamala Harris Melanin Hillary. You're both the same. You're both horrible individuals who have done horrible things. And you have so little respect for the American voting populace that you honestly believe. I believe that Hillary is that deluded. She really, really believes that it was the Russians and Comey and Bernie, the Bernie bros. She honestly believes that's the reason she lost. On the fact that she's a woman. That's why. That's why she lost. That's what we heard about Kamala. The fact that she's black, she's a black woman, she's a woman of color, that's why she lost. No, you lost because you're unlikable. Now, there I was on Twitter. I don't usually go on Twitter a lot, which is actually a bad thing. I need to go back to Twitter because I find a lot of really good stuff on Twitter. And I was surprised when the big homie, Talcum X himself, Shaun King, the black guy who's not necessarily so black. Listen to what Talcum X says. He says to Hillary, please stop blaming Bernie for your catastrophic loss to Trump. You hardly stepped foot in key battleground states thinking you had it in the bag and lost in those states that Obama won. Bernie keynoted 52 campaign events across 14 states for you. It's true. It was a record in the modern world. It's never been done before. She didn't keynote 52 campaigns across 14 states for Mr. Obama. She didn't do that. So Bernie actually did more for her than she did for Obama. But Bernie's the problem who needs to be destroyed on CNN. Okay, all right. So then you know what happened? Hillary, here's Shaun King, he continues, that Hillary Clinton continues to put the blame for loss on other people is deeply insightful. I agree. Because when I travel to Wisconsin and Michigan where Hillary lost, they openly say they hardly saw her, hardly heard from her, and that her ground game there was absolutely awful. Here's what I know, Shaun King continues. and the entire Bernie Sanders campaign knows it. The Electoral College is the system that we are working with. Love it or hate it, it's the game. Those are the rules. Correct. Stop it, people, with the Electoral College. Stop it. That's the rules. Everybody knows what the rules are. Stop. The only time I hear people complaining about Electoral College is when they lose. Stop it. Nobody was whining about the Electoral College when during Barack Hussein Obama's regime. I didn't hear a word about the Electoral College. When that happened, that's the game. We all know it. Stop it. Stop whining about the Electoral College. Good night. Bernie Sanders is building the most complex 50-state presidential campaign of all time. Now, this is Talcum X. You gotta take what he says with a grain of salt. However, I'll defer to his wisdom in this particular situation, and I'll say, okay, I'll agree with him. Now, in rides Neera Tanden on her steed. Neera Tanden, here she goes. Tweets like this alienate Hillary voters and do a disservice to Senator Sanders. Can you believe this? She goes on the most popular publicly syndicated podcast of all time, Howard Stern. I think the guy's got like a $30 million a year deal or something like it. It's ridiculous. And says that Bernie hurt her and then said I hope he doesn't do it next time, which is one establishment politician co-aligning with the establishment media and saying Bernie's not going to win. That's the obvious implication, right? Because he wouldn't be in that situation if he were the winner. She didn't say, I hope it doesn't happen to him if he wins. She didn't say that. She says, I hope he doesn't do it again, whoever gets the nomination. So she's already sniped Tulsi, and she's already sniped Bernie. Oh, wouldn't you know it, the two progressives who dared to go up against her and dared to speak anything negatively about her. Surprise, surprise. So here comes Neera Tanden. This does a disservice. So here's Shaun King. Shaun King says, I was literally responding to Hillary going on the Howard Stern show and doing a full bit on the damage Bernie did to her campaign. He did 52 weeks all over the country. I have every right to respond to her. She's not so holy and untouchable that we must be silent in her presence. Right. She was the one that actually sent the warning, the fire out first. Neera Tanden? Good night. What planet are these people on? Hello? She was the one that went on the publicly syndicated most popular podcast of all time and said all that craziness. Neera Tanden? Here's the response. Here's the response to the facts that Mr. King just brought out. Did you actually listen to the interview? She was asked a question and was obviously answering and moving it on. No one makes you attack her and her campaign. But look, if you want to alienate Hillary's voters, have at it. To which he responds, I watched all of it from start to finish. Op-eds were written just about how she threw Bernie under the bus, and she did, and you know she did. So does CNN. That's why they had that as a header, that Bernie was destroyed completely by this woman. But this encapsulates the mindset of Hillary Clinton and her disciples. They can never be held accountable. They can never be blamed for their failures. It's never their fault. It's always because they're women. And even a far leftist like Shaun King, nobody is allowed to criticize Hillary or even respond to her. Notice Mr. King didn't even bring up what I just posted about what she said about Obama maybe getting assassinated in 2008. He didn't even bring that up. All he did was he kept it to Bernie. He said, listen, lady, Bernie did 14 states and 52 keynotes for you. Your girl did not go to the battleground areas because she thought she had it all in the bag. That's why she lost. I've been trying to tell you people that for 4 years because I've been scared to death that in 2020, Mr. Trump is going to win in a landslide. And then I would like to know. He'll probably win the popular vote and the electoral vote. And then I'd like to know what in the world you're going to blame then. Good night. This is a disaster. And it's people like Hillary and shills like Neera Tanden who do not have any sorts of any sort of objectivity whatsoever. It's complete and total emotionalism, and I gotta tell you, this is not a good look for women. You know, when I see Tulsi, I'm like, okay, women can stand up, they can be brave, they can look bad dudes in the eye, and they can stand up and represent our country. I would go over a hill. Believe you me, I would go over a cliff with Tulsi Gabbard, 100%. I don't care what gender she is. That's a strong woman right there. I'm raising my daughters to have that type of resolve. But this is a woman who cannot accept defeat, cannot accept accountability, whines about the rules when she loses, implies that Bernie and his group are sexist. I mean, this is not an example I want for my daughters. No. You know, when my daughter, she loses at Fortnite, she's the best Fortnite player in the house, probably the best Fortnite player in the state. That's my belief. Say what you want. But when she makes a bad play and has a bad plan and a bad strategy, I call her on it. I say, I'm sorry, Zoe. That was a bad play, sweetheart. That's why we lost. It's your fault. Suck it up. Change and move on. I don't allow my daughters to make excuses. They get no margin of error for excuses in this household because I know what type of world they're going to inherit. And I know that they're probably not going to get set up with a millionaire husband and do all types of crazy evilness to get herself where she is like her and Kamala have done. So I know that. So my daughters are going to be trained to be like Tulsi and not Hillary. This is absolutely shameful. What a disaster. Unbelievable. Hillary Clinton, it's over. And she just cannot get out of the spotlight. Anyway, as I've been saying, we're doomed. Trump 2020, it is over. We're doomed. I'm conceding. Leah of the Village, it's over. Love your neighbor. Take care of each other. Middle America, we are the media. Till next time, guys.